Welcome back to This Week. Time now to get the views of our panel of media and political experts. Grace Sasser, chairman of the State Democratic Party. John Rodgers, Capitol Hill reporter for the Nashville City Paper. And News 2's contributing political analyst Steve Gill. The presidential primary process continues. 4 more contests done. John McCain wins 4. Hillary Clinton wins 3 of 4. She takes the momentum. McCain now has enough to win the nomination. On the McCain side, where does that move him now? What's his next step? Does he need to, at this point, begin the process of looking for a running mate, or just kind of sit back and wait for the Democrats to decide?
I think he's got to find a way to coalesce the Republicans, and particularly that conservative base behind him. You know, he went to the White House and got the nod from the president. I think that's the last time you'll see him campaigning with President Bush. He may have him raising money for him, but I don't think you're going to see that on the stump a lot as we get towards the fall elections. And I think it's probably too early to actually pick a VP. The Democrats actually have their convention first, and he can wait, see who gets the nomination, see who they pick, see what their ticket is before he actually picks his. But I think you'll hear a lot of speculation. I think you'll kind of see them as they compile a short list.
Can President Bush be a positive for him in regards to raising money and also helping him with conservatives?
Raising money for sure. I'm not sure he can help with conservatives. Actually, he's one of those guys that probably makes McCain look a little more conservative than he does. So I'm not sure he's the answer on the conservative side. He can definitely raise a lot of money.
Well, I think on the Democrats, we all had our TiVos set up this week to record that press conference and watch John McCain meet with George Bush. And I agree with Steve that I think George Bush is going to join Dick Cheney in that undisclosed location for the next few months, coming out to make fundraising calls. It's interesting, and again, Steve makes a good point, that Richard Nixon used to say you'd run to the right like the Dickens to get the nomination, then run back to the middle once you got it. John McCain seems to be doing the exact opposite. He sees the nomination, and now he's working hard to solidify that the Republican right wing. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to do it in the next few weeks.
On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton has the momentum. Barack Obama still has the delegate lead. Does this mean, again, it brings those votes left out there in Florida and Michigan back into play?
I think at some point we will. I think if I had to bet, we're going to end up playing by kind of those old sandlot rules. When things get really confused, we try to do a do-over to make sure that the folks in Michigan and Florida do have a real say in this election. The specifics are really up for discussion, though.
And I mean, it goes without saying this is a big issue for the Democratic Party.
300 votes,
and
delegates.
And you also have, I mean, you don't want your voters in 2 very important states like Michigan and Florida to be disenfranchised. And you also want them to be energized for the general election in 2 states that Democrats have to win. So, I mean, this is something that the Democratic Party and Howard Dean have to address. And I think Gray's right. They're going to do it in some fashion. I don't think you're just going to see those 2 states left.
Neither party's had a primary that's going to go as long as this one is going to go. This could go to the convention. Is that good for the Democrats? Is it better for the Republicans? They now have their nominee.
Well, I think a lot of the Democrats have adopted the philosophy of that great modern philosophy, Kanye West, that don't kill me only makes me stronger. And there's some real truth in that our nominee is going to continue to get questioned, be it Senator Obama and Senator Clinton. Senator Clinton has candidly posed some very tough questions to Senator Obama. If he's able to answer those questions, I think he can win in Pennsylvania and move on and be an effective nominee. If he can't, Senator Clinton then will move on and be the effective nominee.
That sounds better to a rap beat, by the way.
Much. I wasn't going to try to rap it. I know better.
From a press perspective, it's been fascinating to watch how Saturday Night Live has actually, cattle prodded the national media into giving Barack Obama really
a thorough looking at
an examination. And they really gave it to him last week over this Canada issue in NAFTA, and also over the I can't recall the second one, but the Resco situation in Chicago. And Saturday Night Live actually has kind of dictated the last couple of weeks of this thing, and actually helped Hillary Clinton.
You know, I think the challenge is this thing continues to be contentious. Just this week, you had one of the aides to Barack Obama call Hillary Clinton a monster. You had one of her aides compare him to Ken Starr. As the divisiveness continues, and along the racial lines, along gender lines, along regional lines, I think the danger for the Democrats is as it continues, that bloodletting will be harder to heal as they move ahead. I think Gray's right, though. It keeps Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton in the media. He keeps them gathering support in states that they wouldn't normally be visiting at this stage, while John McCain's going to be on the sidelines simply raising money and waiting to see who wins.
The big winner on Tuesday, besides Hillary Clinton, was the national media, of course, because they get to follow this for another month through Pennsylvania.
Well, it gives Steve something to talk about every morning, too. But
definitely a boost. And Rush Limbaugh gets to claim some credit because he was telling folks, go vote for Hillary to help make this thing continue. About 10% of the exit polling shows that Republicans were voting in Ohio and Texas. So it may have been the Rush Limbaugh impact that helped the Clintons. So you got Ann Coulter saying she's for for Hillary. You got Rush Limbaugh pushing Hillary. This is a weird
year, isn't it?
I think it just shows that everybody in the country is ready to change the direction, move this thing in the right direction, and we're going to build up a very large coalition come November.
Back here in Tennessee, Governor Bredesen this week proposed redoing and revamping long-term health care here in Tennessee. An important issue. We're kind of in the middle of the legislative session, got some bipartisan agreement on this issue. Will something get done this year?
You know, it's hard to be against grandma and mom,
Sure.
and I think that it's going to get a lot of support. The question is, how much money is available if it's going to take state funds at a time when we really have some desperate straits, it looks like, in Tennessee revenue, and the legislators still continue to be on a desire to do a spending spree.
Right. Bredesen is putting about $12 million in his proposed budget toward the situation. They recognize that's not nearly enough to address it, but they know that that's the best they can do at this point. And I think they'll pass something this year. Tennessee spends $1.2 billion on long-term care through TennCare, 98% of which goes towards nursing homes, the most in the country, I believe. And so they're trying to shift that back in the other direction, let elderly people stay at home longer.
It's an important issue. It affects all of us at some point.
It affects all of us. Either we're going to have a parent or we're going to be there ourselves at some point in our lifetime. And we're right. We do have to be conscious of the budget this year, very conscious. But this plan can result in significant long-term savings. It costs on average about, I think, $16,000 to have someone taking care of them at home versus a figure between 45 and 60 in a nursing home. So it expands choice. For some people, that a nursing home will still be appropriate, but for those families who really want to keep a loved one at home, it allows them to be there and be with their family.
Great Sasser, John Rodgers, Steve Gill, appreciate your insights. Stay with us. This week continues in a moment.